Hey guys, how you doing? It's Shane. Welcome back down to the workshop. Sorry I've been away for a while, but obviously with all the new COVID stuff and everything, it's just throwing me completely out of whack. I hope you're well. I hope you're coping okay wherever you are in the world. And yeah, we're back with a new build. So recently we've started doing some votes on my Twitch channel on what to build next, because while work's slow, I thought we could do some build alongs, and the followers then vote on an item that they want to build, and I'll do a quick template and we'll try and build it all along together. However, there was one item that the guys wanted me to build, which is a running joke with my Twitch followers about the platypus. And we've had a platypus pistol, we've had a platypus blunderbuss, which is now called the blunderpuss, and then they decided for a new one, which is the splatterpuss. Basically, it's a Warhammer with a platypus theme. So we decided to have a little bit of fun and joke and just carry on with this. So this is now known as the splatterpuss. It is Larp safe, and I'm going to show you how I built this. So this is a light Warhammer, bit of a joke theme. So you've got an armoured platypus, yeah, and with some platypus paws holding this spiked dome. So yeah, this video will be showing you how I made the splatterpuss. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you decide possibly to try and build your own, which will be always fun. But if you are new here, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you'll be alerted when I do go live with new stuff. I am trying to get back to doing one video a month at least. If you want to help me out on the channel, you can always jump over to Patreon, where I will be setting up a chance for the YouTube voters to have a vote on what they want me to build next time. Okay, so let's jump straight into it, shall we? So as always, to make a Larp safe weapon, we are using a 12.7mm core. This is carbon fibre. I'm then placing that in the centre of a 12mm foam sheet, and then I will be cutting out some 8mm sheets to build up the actual bulk of the main shaft. This is not going to be the head or anything like that. This is just the main shaft part. Once we have all our foam cut out, the 12 and the 8mm pieces, it's time to draw around our core. Now this needs to be in the centre of the foam, so this is going to be our centrepiece, and the foam is going to wrap around this core. Once we've cut out our centerpiece that we needed, we can start gluing up. So here we're just going to add some contact adhesive to the core, and then we're going to do the same to the inside of our 12mm foam sheet. This is going to give us our middle layer, and then we can just start adding on later.
Once our core is secured inside the 12mm strip of foam, we're going to start gluing up the sides and start adding on our 8mm pieces. Now we need an even number both sides and build up the shaft, so we're going to try and round the shaft, so we need quite a few layers on just to build up bulk up. When you start adding the layers of foam together, try and keep at least one side as smooth as possible. This will be your straight edge. This is the side you will take all your measurements from. And then make sure you squeeze and squash down the foam. You want to try and get all the air out between the two layers as possible. Once we've got all our pieces glued together, you'll notice here I've cut a little bit of section off from the top. Now I've left the 12mm bit, which is the centerpiece, around the core, but I've cut the extra 8mm pieces off because the head is going to go across this and then create a stronger bond. To start the headpiece, we start adding 12mm foam, the same width as the centerpiece of foam, to either side. Now we need a small part on the back side for a murder spike, and then we need a larger part for the head of the Warhammer to actually strike with. Once the center section is done for the head, we then need to start our reinforcement. So here I'm using a bit of paper to create a template. Now this doesn't want to go to the edges, it wants to be in maybe ½ inch from all the edges, and we're just making a template out of paper so we can transfer it to any sort of fabric, strong fabric. I use false leather for the inside. Once we have our reinforcement pieces cut out and transferred to false leather or whatever medium you're going to use, make sure you glue it down both sides and place it over the head. Now you need to cover the actual core and both sides, the murder spike side and the striking side. You want to cover that part of the head. This is going to add a lot of strength to that head section. Now the reinforcement's done, we're going to draw around our headpiece on some 8mm craft foam, and we're going to start doing multiple layers of that to build up the actual striking head. With our headpieces cut out, it's time to glue them up. Once we've glued them up, don't forget to glue the actual bottom part of the shaft, because that's going to connect onto the rest of the shaft. We need that to be a seamless join, so don't forget that bit. Now our basic shape is built up and we've got the main bolt done, we're going to start drawing on our pattern that we want. Now you could do this with a template if you like, but this was my own design, so I just did a rough outline of what I wanted and then I would tidy that up later. Once we're happy with our basic design, we can then start cutting bits out. So here you'll see I've actually sculpted part of the head, and here I'm actually gluing up some 8mm pieces to make a spike to go onto the top, just adding a bit more detail. With the basic shape of the spike cut out, I can then go onto the belt sander and start rounding it out. Now I also need to start rounding the underneath to allow it to sit on top of the rounded head on top of the helmet we've just cut out. Once the spike was on, I added a chamfered piece of foam just to go around the spike and on top of the helmet. This creates a better join and just a little bit more security. Once we're happy with the headpiece, we start moving down the body. Now we're going to create a humanoid figure that we're going to cut out of foam. But before we do this, we need to start bulking this area up for the shoulders, for the chest, for the back, and then we can start sculpting it without damaging the actual strength of the shaft around the core. Again, once we've drawn our design, a basic shape that we need, we then cut out as much as we can with the knife before going on to the Dremel. Now the Dremel is going to remove most of this and then start adding a nice little rounded figure to it, but it does take time, and bear with it. Just do one section at a time, like an arm and then a part of the other arm and then lower arms and then chest, etc. Don't try and just round it all off at once, just keep it bit by bit. It'll help you with the scale. Once we're happy with the shaping that we've done with our foam, we're going to shorten this slightly because it's going to be too long otherwise. It's just not going to feel right in the hand. So I'm going to cut off a small section of the core, exposing at least an inch or 2 inches of the core outside of the foam. This is going to allow us to attach our pommel section. And here you can see me starting to work on the shaft. Basically, I'm going to take all the corners off, and then I'm going to go onto the belt sander and start rounding. Once the main shaft has been rounded to the right diameter we want, we're going to start adding 2 rounded sections to start and finish the handle section. This is just going to give it that little bit extra detail, and we also add any other details like the tail to the splatterpuss added onto this section. We will also start the pommel section here as well. To create the pommel, all we did was the same as we did for the spike on top of the head. Built it up in many layers and then just shaped it how we needed to, using a knife to cut it out basically, and then we round it off on the belt sander or with a Dremel. Here you can see me adding some hand shapes. Now these hands will be glued onto the side, and then we will add 2mm craft foam between the fingers to create the webbed effect, and just using the Dremel smooth it down. Once our main build section's done, we can go back and do any fine details, any last minute touch-ups, and here I used a wood burner to create our pattern on the handle. This is just a simple crisscross pattern, and I used it also for the eye sections and just to give us any smoothing out pieces I needed from where the sander couldn't reach. If there's any parts you can't get into with the sander, or if there's just some seams that seem to be sticking out too much, I use Flexi Filler from Tight Supply, and you can just use a bit of water, put this Flexi Filler over these gaps and these seams, and then just using a hairdryer, not a heat gun. Use a hairdryer, it will dry it out nice and smooth, and then once it is completely dry you can sand it smoother. When we're finally happy with the build section, it's time to heat seal it with a heat gun, and then the glue coat ready for latex. The glue coat is very important. Without that, a Larp weapon will start pulling the latex away from the actual foam inside very quickly. So we just use the same glue, and we add a little bit of thinner, really thin it down, and just give the whole item a covering. After the glue coat has been applied and dried, we then add 6, 7 or 8 coats of latex until the whole job is actually smooth and nice finish on top. Once that's done, we add a black coat, and then we can start adding other colours and such we need. The black coat will help shine through for any metals or anything you want to add on. Once all the painting's done and we're happy with it, it's time to add the varnish. Now the varnish I use is Isoflex Special Primer, just a nice thin even coat, leave it to dry, and then the weapon's completed.
So there you go, guys, you've built a splatterpuss, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Again, it doesn't have to be exact, you can do it however different specifications you want to, but that's how I built this one. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed the build. Guys, I do have a Discord channel where we do share other people's works and such. I'll put a link in the description below, so feel free to send me some pictures of your builds that you actually use from these videos. I'd really appreciate that. So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Please hit the subscribe and the thumbs up if you give it a like. If you don't, give it the dislike, that's fine too. It all helps me out anyway. And if you do want to help me and the channel out, please head over to Patreon. It's $1 a month, that's it, or you can pledge as much as you want, and it all helps me build these videos for you. Okay, guys, so hope to see you over on Twitch Wednesday to Fridays, 10:30 AM GM time, and if not, I'll see you in the next build. Cheers, guys. Take it now. Bye.